Stage 1, LOX load complete.
T-minus 2 minutes, 33 seconds and counting. Coming up on the final bit of fueling, where we'll hear the call out for stage 2 LOX load complete, at which point the Falcon 9 will be fully fueled and ready for flight. As we get into the last couple minutes of the count, want to thank a few more folks for their support real quick. Effervescent Relief for very generous $100 super chat donation. Says, Godspeed Falcon 9. Thank you so much, Effervescent. Artemis saying, I'm a man of my word, with a $240 super chat donation. My goodness, Artemis. Thank you so much for that. That is very kind of you.
Stage 2, LOX load complete.
And we hear that call up for stage 2 LOX load complete, as we are now about a minute 30 away from liftoff. Soldiers for Christian Life Ministries also jumping in with a $100 super chat donation. Thank you so much, soldiers. I'm glad to see you with us again this evening.
Ground gas closeouts.
You hear that call for ground gas closeouts. You see the final bit of purging there before we lift off. Now less than, or just over a minute away from flight. I do want to thank Callistia Lee again for another 10 Spaceflight Now memberships being donated. Just want to point that out before we get to far in the final minute of the count, as those new members now have access to 4K live streams of this launch. So hopefully y'all enjoy that. We'll come back to the rest of the support after liftoff. We're now 40 seconds away from launch of the Falcon 9 rocket.
Go for launch.
And we hear that call out for or go for launch. Now 30 seconds away from liftoff. Now 15 seconds. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Ignition and liftoff. Liftoff of the Falcon 9 rocket. The Falcon 9 now climbing, has cleared the pad. Now 20 seconds into flight. Falcon 9 climbing through a bit of cloud cover here over Florida. Still getting some great tracking views. That cloud cover not preventing the liftoff tonight, though. Now 50 seconds into flight. Let's listen to the roar of those 9 Merlin engines. Hear the call out, Falcon is supersonic, is now traveling faster than the speed of sound. Now a minute 17 into flight. A call out for max Q, the Falcon 9 passing through the point of greatest aerodynamic pressure on the vehicle. Now a minute 33 into flight. And punching through the clouds, taking a look at view from Pete Carson's tracking camera from Max Q Productions. Appreciate Pete joining us this evening, helping to track the Falcon 9 as it climbs through on its way to send the 23 Starlink satellites on their way up to low Earth orbit. Now a little over 2 minutes into flight 220 into this mission. Coming up on payload fairing separation, or excuse me, MECO, and then the call out for stage separation there. You see the tracking views on Pete's camera. We'll see the payload fairing separation momentarily. Now a little over 3 minutes into flight. There you see those payload fairings falling away. You'll see the delayed. You see that in the bottom right-hand box from the SpaceX feed. You can see on the far left-hand side of Pete's box in the main box here, those payload fairings drifting away, reflecting the glow of the Merlin vacuum engine. A T plus 3 minutes, 47 seconds into this mission. Stage booster 1058, having successfully lifted off from the pad, making its way back down. Heading back down toward the drone ship, just read the instructions, going for its 19th landing after its 19th liftoff just minutes ago. Now a little over 4 minutes into flight. Our next big milestone coming up at T plus 6 minutes, 10 seconds. That's when the first stage entry burn begins. That burn lasting for 22 seconds. If the cloud cover doesn't interfere too much, of course, we will bring you those views of that entry burn beginning from our on-ground cameras. Hoping to catch that live. Now coming up on 5 minutes into flight. Little less than a minute now to that entry burn beginning. Things appear to be moving nominally for SpaceX's 93rd orbital launch of 2023.
Both vehicles continue to follow a nominal trajectory.
And we hear that call out for nominal trajectory from SpaceX. See the view from the first stage booster on the top right-hand box on your screen there. Just beneath it is the Merlin vacuum engine continuing its burn now. That booster landing now less than 3 minutes away. Got our booster landing countdown clock just beneath our mission clock above it. And we're seeing some stars whisk by from behind Pete's tracking camera as we're continuing to follow along the views of the Falcon upper stage. Now T plus 6 minutes, 15 seconds and counting.
Stage 1 FTS has saved.
Entry burn should be beginning now.
Stage 1 entry burn startup.
And we see that burn beginning on the SpaceX feed. Now T plus 6 minutes,
Stage 1 entry burn
43.
shutdown.
Stage 2 FTS has saved.
Now T plus 6 minutes, 50 seconds and counting into this flight.
Stage 1 and Stage 2 on nominal trajectories.
The call out that things are continuing to move along well for both the first and second stages of the Falcon 9 launch vehicle. Just as a quick point of note, the countdown clock on our clock at the upper right-hand corner of your screen, a little bit ahead of the SpaceX feed. Our clock is in real time. The SpaceX feed is on a slight delay. So that's the reason for the discrepancy there. Coming up on the next milestone as we're about 7.5 minutes into this mission. Coming up at T plus 8 minutes 5 seconds is when the first stage landing burn will begin. That burn lasting until about 8 minutes 27 seconds to flight.
Stage 1 transonic.
When the booster will land on the drone ship, just read the instructions. Hear that call out for booster, or excuse me, the first stage transonic is now traveling below the speed of sound as it's coming up on its 19th landing to date. Again, that landing burn has begun in real time. We'll see that start
Stage 2's in terminal
the
guidance.
SpaceX feed.
Stage 1 landing burn.
Views of the drone ship should be coming up both on the left and the right-hand side of your screen. See the drone ship view now.
Stage 1 landing leg deploy.
And we have
Stage
a good
1 landing
touchdown.
confirmed.
Booster 1058. 19 flights up, 19 flights down. And it continues to cement its spot as the flight leader for SpaceX.
And back shutdown.
And you hear that call out representing SECO 1 or second stage engine cutoff. The booster will remain in this parking orbit and coast phase.
Nominal park orbit insertion.
Hear the call out for that. It'll remain as such until T plus 54 minutes, 6 seconds, at which point there will be a 2-second burn of the second stage, setting up for Starlink satellite deployment at T plus 1 hour, 5 minutes, and 24 seconds.